Hey guys, it's Maxine. Thank you so much for watching. So in today's video, I'm going to be refreshing my client's blonde balayage, and I'm going to be showing you guys step by step how I would do this balayage and color melt. My client's goal is to be as bright and blonde as possible, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing a full balayage, and just really my intention is to be getting a lot of the darker shadows out and the brassiness, trying to really brighten and balayage this to make this as blonde as possible for her. And also, she doesn't really like this blonde chunk in the front. She did end up having to go to somebody else kind of in between while she was away at college, so he just wants me to try to blend out this front chunk that she has and make it more seamless throughout the rest of her hair. So that's another thing that I'm going to be doing today, and toning all of the warmer colors out. She wants to be more of the ashier blonde. So yeah, basically I'm just going to be making this as blonde as possible and toning it into a nice ashy sandy kind of blonde color, and it will just look so pretty on her. We've done this before, so we already know this tone looks really good on her, and that's just basically our goal today, is to get her as light as possible back to that sandy ashy tone. And definitely subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to see more color videos in the future. And I hope this helps you. I hope these tips and tricks and this whole process of me showing you guys step by step how I do a blonde balayage helps a lot. And definitely share this video if you think it can help somebody else that you know. Definitely give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn. I'll put the link in the description, and yeah, I post all of my formulas on all of the posts of every picture I have on my Instagram, so definitely check it out for that. Also, if you haven't already, definitely hit the bell that's next to the subscribe button for post notifications, just to turn it on so that you're always notified every time I upload a new video. And okay guys, if you want to see me do this blonde balayage and color melt, then definitely keep watching. So the first thing that I always do is I ask them where they part their hair, and if they go both ways with their hair, then I will definitely do the parting in the middle, because that way it'll be even no matter where they part their hair. And then I just section off the two sides, getting them out of the way, and I'm going to be parting them from behind the ear, and yeah, just clipping them out of the way. The lightener that I'm going to be mixing up and using for her balayage is Matrix Light Master, and I'm mixing it with 20 and 30 volume, so I'm making a 25 volume. So I like to start my first section at the very nape of the head, and this is just so that when this piece is done processing, I can lay my client comfortably back into the sink and rinse out this very first piece that we worked on, since it's going to be the first piece to be done and ready to be rinsed. And yeah, so I'm just taking a really small slice, nothing too big. I want to kind of be able to see through the slice so that this can get as blonde as possible. And I'm just saturating halfway down the strand, because I want to bring this blonde up pretty high to her roots, so I don't want it to just be the tip. So yeah, I'm just saturating halfway down the slice really as good as possible. And now I'm taking my section up in the V shape. I'm doing one just quick stripe on each side of the strand to get that V, and now I'm back combing with my color brush just to kind of feather this up a lot. It's a teasing type of a motion, but it really feathers up really nice this and breaks up all these harsh lines. And yeah, so that's what I like to do. I like to initially start with my shape, and then I like to feather up after. And I always flip the strand upside down to check out what the underneath looks like, and I always blend out the same shape but on the underneath. This is just so that you don't have any blotchiness or any kind of weird harsh lines in the hair. Blending out the underneath is pretty much just as important as blending out the top, so don't ever forget to flip it over. It's a little bit of that extra step, but it's important. And after I'm done balayaging this slice of hair, I put a foil underneath, and then I stick the ends to the very side of the foil. Then I wipe off my hands and I top it off with a foil and sandwich the two pieces together. I never really show me wiping off my hands because I feel like it's just kind of a wasted part of the video, but yeah, I always wipe off my hands in between me overlaying the bottom foil and the top foil, because that just keeps the foils really nice and clean, and you're never going to be left with random lightener on random other pieces of the hair. You want to make sure that the lightener stays very contained in the foil. And then yeah, so then I always put like a slice in between each section of balayage that I do. Like I like to keep it very dimensional unless they really want all of the ends to be like completely blonde. Like that's different. Like if the client wants every piece of hair to be blonde, then I would not skip a section. But in the case that a client really wants to keep her hair very dimensional and help this grow out, be as seamless as possible, then I always definitely skip a nice slice of hair in between each balayage piece. And to know how much hair to skip in between each foil also differs between each client, because like for this example, my client here doesn't really want her blonde to be subtle at all. She really wants it to be a lot blonder and a lot brighter, and so in that case I'm not skipping that much hair in between each balayage foil. So I don't want to leave too much dimension in the hair. That's my point. But on a client that wants to keep her hair more subtle, like she wants it to be a little, blonder, but she barely wants to see it, like she wants to be more subtle or sun-kissed, then in that case, I would definitely skip bigger slices of hair and leave more dimension in between each balayage slice, because you don't want to overdo it on the blonding of the highlights. So that's in the case if somebody wants it to be more subtle, then you would definitely skip pieces, which would then this balayage would take less time to do, you know what I mean? So the client that I have right now, since we're not skipping that big of slices in between and we're really trying to blonde as many of these balayage pieces as we can, it's going to be a little bit of a longer balayage process. That's another reason why each client is a different time, fit. Like, so some balayages take only 3 hours and some take like 5 hours. So it definitely depends. And don't feel like you're working slow when it comes to balayage, because it's just a longer type of a service. That's why it's a little bit more pricey for the clients. And also it's worth it because it lasts so much longer for them. They don't have to come back for like 4 to 6 months and sometimes even close to a year. It really depends on like how good they maintain their color at home with professional products, how good your blending was during the balayage process, how good your color melting was, the colors of the seamless, like fade, and like if they had really dark roots or really blonde ends, and like it really just has so many different elements of like what depends on how well the grow out is, you know what I mean? But in most cases, like if it's done right and everything, it's gonna grow out really well. It only grows out less seamless when maybe they have like platinum ends and super dark roots, or something like that. But in most cases it always grows out really natural, and the balayage is perfect for that. So when it comes to the placement on the back of the head, as I work up like higher on the head and you can see like the section gets wider, I do the one slice on the right and then one slice on the left, and I do that working all the way up the head. You can see like they're next to each other, left and right. And then as I get to the crown, that's when I start getting back into like the one foil again. But the whole way up, it's always 2 foils that are next to each other. And I'm doing the same V shape on every single piece that I balayage. And I'm going to do the same thing on the sides as well. But yeah, I'm just saturating the slice halfway down the head really good, and then doing the V shape. And then after I place the V shape, then I start to back comb and feather all of the lightener up. And on some pieces, like I'm pretty sure I'm doing this on this piece right now, but yeah, some pieces I just do a little bit more of like a W effect, but it's mostly a V because I really want to keep this nice and dimensional, and a W effect kind of feathers the dimension away a little bit. In some cases, it depends on how wide the section is, but yeah, so I want to keep this dimensional, so I'm really just doing mostly a V section, and I'm following that same exact pattern all the way up on every piece. And once again, I feel like I need to mention this little chirping noise that's in my videos is actually my parrot. So if you haven't watched my other videos, that's, now I have a parrot, and he has to sit next to me because he's really loud otherwise, and sitting next to me keeps him quiet so that I can finish editing these videos. And yeah, so if you're wondering what the chirp is, it's my parrot. And I pretty much only show me painting the right side of the head because it's a better angle in the camera and you can see it better. So just know that on the entire left side of the head, I'm painting this exactly the same way, and I'm doing the V shape and feathering it up. And after I finish blending out the underneath part, I like to just quickly fix the blend on the very top of the slice before putting it away in a foil, just because I feel like lifting up the slice kind of readjusts the hair, and sometimes the blending isn't as smooth anymore. So I just like to quickly fix the blending on the top before I put it in a foil. But yeah, this is what it looks like when the two balayage slices sit next to each other like this. And this is like what you have to do when the section in the back is wider. You can't always just take it in one big section. So splitting it up into two sections like this, where it sits left and right next to each other, is definitely good, because it gives you the opportunity to get very nice and close to the root with the lightener, and there's not going to be any blotchiness or anything. And now that I'm at the crown section, it's definitely like a smaller section on the head. So now I'm finally able to take this into the one section like we did at the very nape of the head. And yeah, so this just gives us the opportunity to leave like the darker low light piece in the very middle of the head. And that just helps with the placement later on with like the pretty gradient and everything. And sometimes on a big wide section like this, if I feel like it needs a little bit more dimension, I definitely will take up like a slight little W peak in the middle like you just saw I did. And that's just like, for the most part, this is a V shape, but like I said, sometimes I'll just kind of peak it up as like a W a little, because I just feel like sometimes it breaks up that dark like void area. Like, I want it to be dimensional, but I also don't want it to be too stripy in the hair either. So this just kind of gives it like that little bit of a middle end touch, you know? And also I do like tend to put horizontal foils on just to kind of cover any like remaining hair that's maybe sticking out of the foils, because I definitely, you know, want this to process really good and stay strong and like saturated the whole time. I don't want any like pieces of lightener and hair sticking out of the foils and drying out over time, you know. So if I put like a horizontal section, it's usually just to cover up a section of hair that's maybe peeking out of the foils and stuff. So yeah. And this is going to be the last slice along the crown of the back section. And as you can see, this is a little bit smaller than even the piece that we took before, because as you get to the top of the head and the way that we have this hair sectioned out, it's just going to give us this smaller section here. So yeah, the same thing. I'm taking this as one big section and I'm doing a V. and blending this out really good on the very top as I back comb with my, brush with the lightener on it, and flipping the piece upside down and doing the same blending underneath really like ensures that it's definitely going to be blended and no blotches or anything like that left over, because as this processes in the foil, you definitely want to make sure that it's super blended out, because it's going to lighten just the way that it's blended, like as the lightener sits on it. So yeah, blending the lightener up is definitely like super important. And also because as like the color fades for the client over time within the next like couple of weeks, or couple of months, like as like the glaze that you put on it, the toner starts to kind of wear away after a while, you definitely want the client to still be left with a very blended balayage, like you want this to grow out very seamless. And that's why blending is so important, even with the lightener, because like you definitely want the clients grow out to be super blended and seamless as well, and that's all in the lightener, Okay, so now that I'm at the front of the hair, I'm going to be taking like a diagonal section, and this is where like the whole face frame comes in, and so it's very important. I like to kind of take like a big slice in this first section, but I definitely like to incorporate a lot of the hairline hair into my sections in the front, especially, so that I definitely get like a really nice face frame. So I'm going to be taking like the sideburn area and kind of lightening this, and definitely you want to lighten it like in the front too. So right now I'm lightening it to see I'm like adding in like the baby hairs to my section. Like you want to lighten it on the top, on the underneath, and on the front, like so it's kind of like you definitely want to like surround the whole front of the hair with lightener so that it's definitely like a nice face frame. And then I'm going to be blending in the other side of the strand just like my other V sections, and basically feathering it up the same way, flipping the piece up. But basically you want the face frame to be really nicely saturated so that it really stands out and yeah, frames the face nice. And it really is just as important to flip the piece up and feather all of the hair on the underneath, because if you don't like do this extra step, it's gonna come out, it's gonna lighten kind of blotchy. You definitely want your balayages to be very like feathered and blended. So that's a huge trick on how to blend this like lightener out, is definitely taking the underneath, feathering it out, and then you saw I kind of quickly did it again on the top, just because sometimes when you flip it up it kind of messes up the section on the top. So I just kind of make sure that everything's good, and then I layer it in the foils. And I don't usually show me wiping off my hands, but I do wipe off my hands after I put the slice onto the foil, like before I sandwich the other piece on top, just so that everything doesn't get all messy. I wipe off my hands quick with a towel. Not perfect, but just something. And yeah, so now I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking another slice and I'm like doing the whole face frame. It's really important, like the face frames, especially for the blondes and the people, I guess any balayage, like the face frame is so important. It's what people want to see. And then sometimes people want their face frame to be very close to their hairline, and then sometimes people who want like a more subtle face frame, maybe not such a bold face frame, they might want their face frame to start like at their temples. Like I know a lot of my clients that have like caramel hair don't really want like a really intense face frame because they want it to be more subtle. So I might start their lightener like towards like the temple, kind of leave some space, like not go all the way up. But for the most part, like if I'm doing a color melt, which I usually do with my balayages, I'm putting a darker color over the root anyway to blend in the glaze. So even if you feather it up a little bit higher, you can just like drag down the darker root color a little bit more than you would on like a blonde like this. Like I'm gonna drag it down, but not as far. So that's kind of like where the color melt, you would kind of like custom the color melt to whoever you're working on. Sometimes people's color melts, the darker root color stays closer to the roots, and then some people you want to like drag it down more, just kind of depending on their preference of how intense they want their face frame to be and stuff like that. But yeah, for her, we're going to be dragging it down, but not like insanely. She definitely wants to keep like enough of a face frame so that she feels like blonder in the front around her face especially. So I did already do the other side of the hair, so now this is the very last piece that I'm working on. So this is the right side of her face frame and the very top of her whole balayage. And this is basically me just doing the same exact pattern I've been doing this whole time, but I'm going to be blending out this chunk in the front, and just any type of lightener with the blending is going to blend out this chunk. So I'm just putting like an extra little bit of like feathering kind of right behind that chunk, just to really try to erase and diffuse that line that was like really kind of separating the two. And then the toner and the glazing, the color melting and all that will kind of bring the rest of the blending that out together. But with the lightener, just any type of blending around, like the feathering around, is going to really help diffuse that line. So I'm basically just doing like a regular face frame in the front, and then right behind where that normal like face frame is, technically I'm painting over her chunk right now. Right behind it, I'm just going to do my usual, feathering up and blending it up, and that's just going to erase the line really well. And I'm also going on the other side doing this whole V section, and I'm just going to be blending up, maybe in even like a little bit of a W, just to try to erase even more of these lines, because I definitely want this balayage to be super seamless, because she's in college. She can't really get to me every 4 months, so we want to try to make our clients' lives easier and do the best we can with blending and all of that, so that they definitely is like lower maintenance for them. And yeah, so I'm just going to be making sure that this is really well blended, and I'm going to flip it upside down and blend out the whole underneath, and just really work on blending this all out so that it all comes together really nice. And now I'm just going to lay this in a foil, wipe off my hands, and sandwich another foil on top. And I am going to be popping her underneath the dryer for maybe like 15 minutes. I know the dryer is like a big controversy in the hair world. I feel like a lot of people are like freaked out by using the dryer, but I really believe that if you do it very carefully, you can use it as a tool to your advantage to bump out these like darker colors to be very light. You see how like yellowy she lifts in the middle? I mean, we would be there all day if I couldn't just pop her under the dryer for like 10 minutes, So, I think that if you're very cautious and you check them like every 5 minutes, just be very cautious about popping people under the dryer. I mean, like I know my client's hair, I can kind of tell whether their hair is strong enough to, only do 5 minutes or to not do it at all. There's a lot of clients I won't do the dryer on at all. But in this client's case, I popped her into the dryer for like 15 minutes, and then I rinsed out the very back of her hair. And then I popped her under the dryer for another 15 minutes while I mixed up the glaze, and then I washed out the entire thing. And that's when we're ready for the color melt step. So I just kind of wanted to mention, be careful with the dryer, but you also can use it as a tool to help you with your color. But, just a little disclaimer, but yeah. And so now I'm mixing the root color for the color melt, and for the roots I'm going to be using Matrix Color Sync 8N and 8V. And this is just going to give her like that really sandy, blonde, beigey color. So the violet in the 8V is going to cancel out the yellow, and then the neutral is going to give it like that sandy tone. So yeah, I just love this color together. And for the ends, I'm going to be mixing Matrix Color Sync 10N, 10V, and Clear with 10 volume. Both of these are going to be done with 10 volume, and I am adding some Olaplex to each of these bowls. And this client has gotten balayage done before, so I didn't really have to warn her, but a lot of times I do quickly warn my clients, especially if they've never come to me before. But basically this is the in-between stage, and so if you're new at doing balayage, I would for sure warn your client if you're bringing them back to the station to put the toner on, because it always looks crazy before you put the glaze or the toner on. So I'm always just like, don't worry, this is the in-between stage. It's gonna look crazy and stripy and yellow and whatever, just so that they know that you're on the same page with them, and they're not wondering, oh shit, this is what she's gonna make me look like. So I always let them know the toner is gonna totally blend this in. And I also do let them know that I mixed up a darker color for the root, just so that they know that the roots are going to be toned down a lot. But yeah, I just feel like it adds that little bit of comfort to the clients, because they know that you're thinking what they're thinking, But yeah, so right now I'm just combing out my client, and I'm going to be applying this on damp hair. I just feel like you get so much better control when you do it on damp hair, unless it's a big corrective color and you really need to see what the color looks like. Sometimes if the hair is really porous, you really need to get a true idea of what the color looks like, and you can only do that if it's dry. But the majority of the time you always want to do a glaze on damp hair, so that you have more control over how light or dark it gets. And yeah, so basically I'm just going to be starting on this side of the head, and this is the darker color. This is the level 8. And in Matrix Color Sync, I always like to formulate a level up. So if I want my color to process a level 7, in this case I want her roots to look like a level 7, so that fade starts with a level 7. But so I'm using a level 8 because I just feel like I have more control, and I feel like it processes a level darker than what you want. So because I want it to look like a level 7, I'm going to use a level 8. And that's why I added clear into my formula for the ends. I used 10V, 10N, and clear on the ends. The clear is just going to kind of help it bump into a level 11, because I don't want to darken the ends. I want to keep them as light as possible. So yeah, that's kind of the idea for the roots. So I'm using a level 8, but it's going to process closer to a level 7, especially because the roots always sit on a little bit longer, because obviously I need time to apply the color. So the roots are going to sit on longer, which gives me a little bit less control over just being able to rinse them off quick at the sink if it's getting too dark or something. So yeah, that just gives me more control to be able to let it sit for as long as I want. Don't have to matter. The roots won't matter as much, because you want the roots to get darker. So basically I'm going to be applying the very front, where the face frame is, at about a 1/2 inch. I don't want to drag it down too far in the face frame, because I really want that blonde to stay light in the face frame, and I don't want this darker color to kind of overwhelm the front. So, but in the back, kind of towards her ears, right in the spot that I'm working on now, I'm going to be dragging this up a couple inches. I really want to leave more lighter in the front. So just in the front, it's going to be dragged down a 1/2 inch. You could kind of tell I'm not really going that far down. And then yeah, when I go towards the back, it's going to be dragged down a lot farther. That's also the shape of the seamless dark to light that you want anyway. You want it to be darker in the back and lighter around the front, because that's how the sun would naturally lighten your hair, and that's the whole point of balayage and the process of this specific placement. You want the front and the very ends to look like the lightest parts, and so that's why it's good to just drag down the darker root color a bit farther down in the back and around where the ears are, because it's just going to make it look that much more natural and that much more seamless. as you can see, I did put a foil down quick just on the top, just so that when I overlap this, or like, you know, when I lay it over the top, this is not going to get all messed up. And I don't want like the ends that are blonde to touch any of this dark color, or as much as possible, you know. So just want to be careful. So putting that foil there really helps. And yeah, you just want to be really careful not to have any of this dark color like bleeding onto this light part, because that's annoying, like, you know. We don't want that at all. So just try to be like as neat as possible. That's always my goal. And if you do accidentally get a spot of the dark onto the light, just take a wet towel and kind of just wipe it off really quick. It's not that big of a deal. The other toner that you put on after will kind of bump it out a little bit, and I already applied this the same way to the other side of the head, and now I'm just working on the back. And the same way on the root color, I'm just dragging this down pretty far, maybe about 3 to 4 inches. I really want this to be dragged all the way down to like almost the nape of her head. And that way, that's gonna give the very front even more of an appearance of having lighter around the face if you're being a little bit extra dragging it down in the back, you know. I mean, unless they want it to be light everywhere, that's where every client's different, and where every color melt kind of is different also. So you just want to like listen to your client. Consultation is key, and just make sure that you're on the same page with them, and the picture that they show you and stuff like that is going to resemble kind of where you're placing the color and stuff. But yeah, in this case, we're going to go farther down in the back because we just want the face to really pop and the ends to pop. But yeah, we want the like dark to be around the roots mostly. Okay, so now that I'm done applying all of the roots, I'm going to go in with like a wider tooth comb and just really gently comb this out a little bit. I definitely don't want this dark color to touch any of the ends. That's why I'm kind of concentrating the comb to be just around this area. But yeah, I really feel like it breaks up this line a lot, and it really helps with that natural, you know, seamless blend from dark to light. And now I'm applying the formula to the ends, and this is the lighter formula. So I like to just apply this as fast as possible because everything I want to process at the same time. So basically I'm just applying this all over in the same way. You know, I'm not worrying about it as much in the back, but around the front I want to definitely concentrate this closer to the very top hairline part. And I did the same thing this time like I did with the roots. I placed a foil on the other side of her head just so that when I flip up these pieces, they're not touching, like the lighter pieces, they're not touching the dark root, because I really just, even though you're color melting this together, you still want to be careful in keeping it neat because you don't want any of this dark to kind of, you know, bleed onto this blonde part. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of flip that up, and it's just going to help me keep this nice and clean. And yeah, I'm just going to go through and put this lighter color on the whole thing and color melt this all together. And I'm going to let this process for about 5 to 10 minutes because I don't want this to get too dark. So I always like to check them after 5 minutes, and then I will let them sit on for a little bit longer if they need it. So usually like 10 minutes is like the average amount of time that I would leave it on for. I absolutely love the toner part. Like, I just think it's so satisfying seeing the toner work like right away. Like, the dark and the blonde is already blended together, and it's like this sandy pearly color already. I just like absolutely love what it looks like when the toner sits on. So if anybody else likes that too, then definitely give this video a thumbs up. But yeah, so I'm just going to work on the rest of the toner here and let it process, and then stick around to see what it looks like in the end. I mean, I love coloring hair. I love every process of coloring in hair, but I think my favorite part is doing like the final reveal at the end, because it's just so nice to see everything come together. It's also a good opportunity to check out the color to make sure that you and your client both love it, and to know that you can continue with the blowout. And you know, because every once in a while they'll have that situation where you might just want to adjust something quick with a toner in the sink on wet hair, you know what I mean? But for the most part, you know, everything always comes out good, but it is just leaving you that opportunity to just kind of tweak something before you actually finish styling all the hair and everything. So that's why, another reason why I like to blow out the front first, just to make sure that you love it before you finish out with the styling. And then also, the whole time you're styling the hair, it's like chill and relaxing because you already know that you love the color. So there's many reasons, but basically now I'm just going to finish up the blow dry, and I'm going to be adding in a nice soft beach wave to finish out this balayage. I always like to add a nice serum after I do the curls once it cools off, to just kind of go through and break up all the curls and add a little bit of shine in. And I just really love this as a finishing product. Okay, so this is the blonde balayage all complete. This is how it turned out. She's all done and brightened and blonded and dimension added in. And yeah, we were able to kind of break through all these shadows, and the brassiness really got cut out with that toner, and also bumping this into the lighter colors using the 25 volume with the lightener. That really helped to brighten this up a lot. But yeah, I just love how the beach waves like lay on her hair too, especially when we have like a fresh blonde going on. And I really love how this color comes out on her. It just looks so pretty on her, this like sandy blonde color. So I'm glad my client's happy. I'm glad we were able to blonde this and make this look very nice and seamless for her. And I know that it's going to last very long while she's away at college, and she won't have to worry about getting her hair done like too quick, you know, but it'll last long for her, and that's important. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this full tutorial of how I do a blonde balayage and color melt. And if you really did like it, please give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot. And definitely subscribe to my channel to see more videos and color tutorials in the future. And definitely share this video with somebody that you think it could help. Maybe somebody who's just learning how to perfect their balayage, or somebody who's beginning. Like, pretty much anybody can learn a lot from this video. I feel like just a visual, you know, experience can kind of help a lot of people. But yeah, I hope this helped you guys out, and I really appreciate you watching this whole video. If you watched this whole video, put a little painters emoji in the comments down below. But yeah, I'm always interested to find out who does actually make it this far into these videos. And also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn, and I'll leave it down in the description below. But I always post all of my formulas on every post of my Instagram, because I feel like it's really a helpful tool for you guys to refer to the pictures and actually see the formulas that I use also. So definitely check out my Instagram for that and the formulas that are posted on all the posts. And yeah, also, I do have a link down in the description below, like an affiliate link with hair.com. If you guys want 15% off of your first order, definitely check hair.com out, because I swear it's such a good website, and it's a trusted website that you can actually get products like legally and guaranteed, because there's a lot of places out there that people get products, like professional products, that you don't even know if it's like the right product in the bottle. It could be diluted down, like, you don't know. But hair.com is definitely like a trusted site, and if you do want a 15% off, you can get that off your first order. So check out my links down below. And yeah, guys, I'm really happy you guys stuck around and watched this whole video. I hope everybody's doing well, and definitely stay tuned for more color videos in the future. I have a lot of videos to edit, and I'm definitely trying to get through all of these, and I'm going to be coming back with another video soon, and so look out for that for sure. And also, don't forget to hit the bell for post notifications so that you're always notified every time I upload a new video. And also, another thing, I realized this recently, but go to your YouTube app in settings and actually turn on notifications, just so that you definitely get the notifications that I posted a new video, even if you're not even on the YouTube app. Like, it'll show up on your notifications. So definitely make sure that you have that on also, so that you don't miss a video. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
So give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me break it.